Virality. Before the digital age, things of a viral nature were usually stored in secure medical labs, the risks of contagion being too high. The idea of something uncontrollably and invisibly spreading through a society, infecting individuals at an exponential clip, used to give us pause. Most law firms are like every other business online today, ready and happily willing to create viral content, but completely unprepared to deal with the other side of viral fame. When the flames of the internet horde hit the dumpster button and your brand and reputation are engulfed. Before a crisis or viral miracle hits your reputation, you need to have an online track record of handling your reputation. The legal profession doesn't have the most stellar reputation offline, and lawyers work tirelessly through their advocacy to correct this perception. If lawyers passionately care about offline reputation because word-of-mouth referrals are gold, why wouldn't online reputation management, the new word of mouth, be the first place to focus their digital marketing efforts? Because they want to snort cinnamon and pour buckets of ice water on each other. That's what we're talking about today on Lawsome. Online reputation management, lawyers, and the viral success of focusing on client experience. Let's roll.
Lawsome, the podcast for law firms. Powered by Consultwebs.
Welcome back to Lawsome, the only podcast for law firms that withholds evidence from itself. We're here to inform, educate, and entertain the legal community on the latest in personal and professional developments. I'm Jake Sanders, your co-pilot, and joining me in the cockpit is the captain of conversions, Paul Julius. What's up with you, Paul?
Everyone, make sure your seat is in the full upright position.
Tray table's locked.
Seatbelt light is on.
And if your mask comes down, why are you wearing a mask on the plane?
You got problems.
If your mask comes down from the overhead bin, you're a terrorist.
It wasn't us.
Where's your real face? Oh, God. Anyway, what's on the show today?
On the show today, we talk about reviews and ratings online and why they're so important. We discuss an article from Bright Local on how consumers interact with reviews online. And Jake and I host a roundtable amongst ourselves and share some resources and insights on managing your law firm's reputation online. Plus, we put our very own Jake Sanders on the hot seat for 10 questions we ask everyone.
Pull up a plate. It's the Hot Takes Buffet.
The article today is from brightlocal.com. It's Local Consumer Review Survey of 2017. Bright Local is an amazing company. You've seen their stuff cited in many different podcasts and blogs, and it was kind of exciting to see this. I was personally blown away by this piece. Paul, did it blow you away? Did anything happen to you, or was it just me? You know, I think I had my life transformed. I just want to know if you had your life transformed by this article. I'm thinking of doing something completely different with my life after this article. I'm thinking about starting my own cattle ranch.
I didn't have quite the transformative experience you did.
Well, that's all good, man.
My life was changed.
I invite you to come to the ranch and take a look at my cattle, because Bright Local has changed my life irreparably. I am now a cowboy. It started with local search results for consumers and ended with me owning a ranch in Montana. I just followed my bliss.
The twists and turns this article takes. It's incredible.
A couple of the things I did like about this, in all seriousness, was that local searches for reviews on lawyers in particular, on that industry, was up from 2016 to 2017 by 10%. You'd only assume that it's getting more and more. I thought it was interesting that trust in negative online reviews is way down from 2016 to 2017. What do you think? When you saw that, what was your thought there, Paul? That people aren't buying all the complainers anymore, or what?
I'm starting to think that people are getting hip to what's going on and
Mm-hmm.
not they're starting to see things how you and I see them.
Mm-hmm.
It's like in the Wizard of Oz, where once you pull the curtain back,
Oh,
and you see
exactly.
the man at the machine pulling the strings,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you start to understand. And I think
Right.
that's got a lot to do with it. I think a lot of the stuff that's coming out about what happened with the 2016 election has
Mm-hmm.
has exposed people to the reality of manipulating things from using fake personalities.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting. So trust in negative online reviews is down.
Mm.
But after seeing a positive review, this Bright Local survey says that users are more likely to search other reputation sites to back up what they've found.
Mm.
So people are using third-party verification. They're going to other sites. So say you focused on getting a really good positive review for one site, but you didn't do it for all of them.
Mm-hmm.
You run a risk maybe because people are taking a look around. They're not trusting things just as they see them. One of the big trust factors that I saw was the quantity of reviews and star rating. If you have a lot of reviews and a lot of rating, it bodes better for your business. It just means that more people have experienced it. It's not that you're better or worse or whatever. It just means that more people have gone through it.
Mm.
People deciding on businesses that have the owner responding to the reviews and ratings. That's a huge, huge trust factor that's gone up from 2016 to 2017. So owners responding, people doing due diligence, not trusting what they see. And the average person reads 4 to 6 reviews of a product or a service before they make a decision. So I think people are kind of becoming savvy.
I would agree. One thing that jumped out to me, I found it extremely interesting, where they were looking at what popular review site is most trusted.
Ooh, yeah.
Facebook and Yelp are tied at 20%.
Right.
And I think that's fascinating because Yelp is just for reviews.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
But Facebook, I mean, you can be on there for lots of different reasons. So I think it's interesting that people trust their social network as much as they trust random weirdos on Yelp.
And even still, beyond 80% of people trust online reviews and ratings.
Mm.
Like it or lump it, positive or negative.
Yeah.
Tons of them or none of them. You being in control of it or not knowing what people are saying about your brand. It's all happening. So the real point of this article to me is that this is a huge, huge digital marketing opportunity for lawyers to take advantage of and to understand that consumer behaviors online are changing in a way that you can adapt your processes to double down and actually generate more of those offline referrals, which are just so good for us as the legal community needs. You can pour a little digital fire on that by being more serious about reputation management.
Oh, yeah.
And that people are being more savvy, and this behavior is not going away.
It says, 93% of consumers read local reviews to decide if a business is good or not.
93%? It doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
The other 7% of people are actually cats. Those are animals that can't get on the internet because they can't get a dial-up connection that's dependable in the forest.
Right after these key findings, the next paragraph in this article says, reputation checks are clearly a way of life when it comes to choosing a local business. Boom. That's it.
And so if you're managing it, if you're maintaining it, if you have a process in place, this is good news for you. If you aren't, doesn't matter the size of your law firm, solo, small, big, this is it. This is a really easy, low-hanging fruit opportunity for you to kind of make the most of digital marketing. You don't have to create a viral video. You don't have to, have an amazing, immersive, augmented reality experience on a mobile app. You don't need that. You don't need that stuff. You can make the needle move right now, right here, by just being more serious and kind of just coming to grips with this reality. So Bright Local, what a fancy article you have just given us. And it's made me question my life. And I'm now living in Montana amongst the cows.
And when we come back, we're going to talk about reputation and reputation management and how you can create an app to reach those 7% of consumers who are feline.
Apparently animals. We got a cat app. The legal insights of the cat community have been plundered, and we have figured it out. And we'll take you to that segment, right? Meow.
Right, meow.
And now, a word from our sponsor.
We really have a relationship with Consultwebs that goes beyond simple business-to-business marketing. We have grown up with them as a company. They were there for us when we started. We were there for them when they started.
So I think that we were Consultwebs' first personal injury client 15 or 16 years ago.
I've been working with them directly for 10 years now, and they've always been a fantastic partner.
It's vitally important to us that when somebody says you should hire Bellick & Fox, and they go to the Bellick & Fox website, they're going to go beyond the website and contact us.
They understand storytelling, they understand technology, they understand a website isn't just text on a page, it's how you create an expectation for what that means to work with us.
When we get a case, they are very excited in a really genuine way that I think reflects the fact that they sort of view their success tied to ours. So that's why we've continued to use them.
I've never had anything but praise for how they've been able to market our website.
Go to consultwebs.com to learn more.
Let's head over to the Lawsome Roundtable with Paul and Jake.
So, I mean, I could just lead into it and be like, welcome back, everybody. We're talking reputation management. And I think in order to get started, a good thing to do would be to define what reputation management is. So when we use that phrase, reputation management, what exactly are we talking about?
Well, it's a good question, Paul. And I've invited myself to answer it.
Good.
So what I'm thinking of is that maybe we should back up a little bit and talk about how things have changed with online businesses and kind of how businesses present themselves online. One of the books that I've read recently is Marketing 4.0 by Philip Kotler. And he has earlier iterations, 1.0, 2.0, and all of those kind of followed larger leaps, TV kind of mass media advertising, and then getting more into the personal stuff. And then this latest iteration is for online businesses and how kind of society's changing in the way we interact. Customers in the past were influenced by marketing campaigns. Advertisements, went out, the M&M ad, it melts in your mouth and not in your hand. Everyone knew that. Everyone could, participate in that. They also sought out expertise. Customers listened to authority figures. It's completely changed. There's a recent survey from the Edelman Barometer of Trust, and people are trusting governments, social institutions. They're trusting them less, like the vaunted figures of leaders, the Richard Bransons, the Gandalfs of the world.
Well, when you're talking about expertise, I mean, you're saying like that's why car companies put in, voted JD Power or something like that. I mean, is that what you're talking about?
Well, and also that this CEO would say this one thing, and people really listened to the people at the top. There's an old example from a Hertz ad where they give the president of the company's phone number on a magazine ad, and they say, call Bill, and he won't want to get your call, but you can get some action because he's a president that cares about his company. And now that whole kind of idea of, I stand by my product and stuff, the internet has ruined this kind of false veneer behind which brands and businesses were standing. Like, surely it's a business decision. And now we realize online, when it's just kind of lessened the distance in between us and brands. So we don't necessarily trust those marketing communications as much.
True. And also, it's not as personal. Like, I mean, outside of like, Elon Musk, I mean, really, how many companies like, I don't know who the president of Coca-Cola is. You know what I mean? Like, right. I don't know. So there isn't even someone there that I could be like, oh, yeah, this person, I trust this person. Like, I don't know who you are. I know it's probably a marketing team.
And yeah, exactly. And that's what people are kind of wary of, that stuff. And just like what you said, I don't know the president of Coke, but I know Coke. So brand positioning and public perception is more of a kind of fertile ground for marketers, today. Recent studies show that just the way people behave online is that they're believing in something that Philip Kotler's called the F factor, which is friends, family, Facebook, and followers. So they trust that over marketing messages. So the concept
in that order?
Well, I think it was just in that collection because Facebook has changed. And also with new information coming out about fake followers, that also has changed. But that's a lot of inside baseball stuff that I think digital marketers understand. A lot of people still don't get it. It looks like a trust signal. If there's 108 reviews on something, 108 people have gone through this process. So me making a decision, I can go in with the fact, armed with the knowledge that 108 people have gone through this same thing. Let's hear what they have to say, or did my friends or did my family say? Which is, I don't think that's ever changed. But the concept of consumer trust is no longer vertical. What you say your brand is not what it is. It's what people say about you. And Kotler kind of goes on and says that people decide to go with a brand based on three things. It's that 4 Fs, the friends, the family, the followers. It's the marketing and advertising coming from the company, ads and stuff. And then it's personal knowledge and history and experience with the brand or the product. So there's 3 opportunities for marketers to kind of get at a consumer by placating or finding a way to get inside that friend family network, by doing good marketing and advertising, and then also by understanding the personal knowledge and experience of the customers and putting that into the thought as a business decision.
All right.
So if your marketing fails to address those 3 things, people will drive right by your website. And so reputation management, when we're talking about it, is gathering all of the social signals from all of your business, from every listing of your business online. And so that's YP, Yext, Google+, Facebook, Yelp, Foursquare, Thumbtack, Better Business Bureau, chat forums, in groups, anywhere, everywhere someone has talked about your brand or your law firm. Being aware of that, being able to respond to that, and then being able to set a process in place to get more reviews and ratings and mentions online for your brand. That's basically what reputation management is nowadays.
That's a lot of different platforms. And I think too, it's interesting that you're talking about reviews and ratings and stuff. A lot of people look at reputation management as just like what happens when you have a bad reputation. But in general, you need to do this you need to be prepared for 2 eventualities, right? Because good stuff can happen too.
Exactly. Yeah. And so, reputation management's critical because if bad stuff happens, you have a crisis management in place. And then if good stuff happens, you have a way to amplify the story. One of the things I like to say is success unshared is failure. Those small little moments where someone says, "Oh, I really appreciated this," or "Thank you for this." That should be shared. That should be common knowledge for everyone else. A lot of people feel demure and maybe humble and, a little bit shy about sharing positive feedback about their business. They say, surely the product speaks for itself. But online businesses, nothing speaks for itself. Nothing sells itself. No matter how amazing it is. So you have
Everybody wants stars.
And they're living and dying off those stars.
Yeah, it's the truth, though.
Oh yeah,
it's the truth. I think it's interesting too. Speaking personally, it's hard to put myself in this position anymore because the curtain's been pulled back. You know what I mean? Like I know,
how the sausage is made.
Exactly. So I know how it is. It seems like you're fighting an uphill battle to get positive reviews for a service-based company, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not happening on Amazon. Nobody has to create an account anyway to get your legal services. So I think a lot of times, people get angry. What I'm saying is that law firms, you're not doing a bad job, but the few people who do get angry are going to turn that negative energy into, trolling you, giving you 1-star reviews, as opposed to people who have good experience. They shake your hand and walk out. They may not go on to Yelp. And they may not be motivated the same way.
Well, really, when you look at digital activity, I forget what study it was, but 80% of people online just play the wall. They don't get in the middle. They don't put their hat in a race. They don't comment. The majority of traffic is just observing. We're just here to observe. And so those small percentage of people who go in, who are hyper users, big Yelpers or things like that, it tends to kind of dominate the activity. So that can change public perception, most definitely. And that's why I have a personal example of when I was the marketing director for my old law firm. When I moved in to my position, they were just completely underwater with Yelp. They were like negative stars. I mean, it was just horrible. And every marketing meeting started with the same thing. What are we doing? What can we do? And so we'd reach out to Yelp. We'd say, some of these things are wrong. These people this isn't even accurate, this feedback. And meanwhile, we were paying for advertisements on Yelp. So we were paying ad space on Yelp to promote our law firm. And we were still at like 1.5 stars. And we were thinking that maybe if we paid, we could get a little bit more favor, or maybe more people would be drawn to our controlling of the Yelp profile. Because if you go there, you can either look at our stars and our reviews, or you can look at our ad. And so I'm hoping that maybe I can subvert the traffic before they get there. So they were like, well, let's see if we can stop them. It was really just like kind of putting a Band-Aid on an amputation or something, So the only way was to corral all of the reputation signals and start a process in place that monitored, responded, and requested reviews and ratings for the firm. All of my shareholders wanted to avoid the hornet's nest. If asking people for Yelp reviews actually elicited a few more bad ones. So
I see what I'm saying.
Oh man. Now, and they're like, don't ask anybody for nothing. So we didn't want to ask anybody for reviews or requests because we're afraid of what's going to happen. So a lot of people want to avoid the hornet's nest, but they don't want to put the beekeeper suit on. It takes a long time. So it took me months for things to start to kind of like correct and right themselves. But once the process was in place, star ratings went up, when we're consistently asking, because 80% of the people who had a great time with your law firm aren't going to say anything. So you have to ask these people for feedback. So once we got the lawyers in on figuring it out, we incentivized portions of it, and it wasn't, you're being paid for these, it's that you're being supported for, helping out the marketing. You got to be really careful in the way that you phrase these things. But we started at a 2-star average across all platforms. And after 2 years of consistent reputation management, I had it up to 4. And we actually learned to just avoid Yelp. We filled Yelp up with, 30, 40 positive comments from pro Yelp users, and they still were getting pushed to the bottom, didn't change any of the star rating, constantly calling Yelp and saying, hey, what's wrong? What's happening? And they won't tell you how they behave or what's going on. So we realized we're just going to push people towards the places where we can generate a positive response, and then control all the responses. They actually were down to respond to the negative stuff, to say you're wrong. But they never responded to the positive things. And so when I took over, I said, we have to respond to everyone. Thank them for their time. Thank them for, letting us know. It's a lot of public relations stuff that seems a little bit unnecessary, but when you realize how powerful it is, it's something law firms should absolutely do. And I know a lot of them don't have this process in place because they don't want to kick the hornet's nest. They're not sure. I mean, you're kind of generating something that you might not be able to control. If you're asking everybody for feedback, well, be ready to get some of that feedback
and be ready to respond.
Right.
Regardless. I mean, I think that's one thing too, is just follow up. It's a big job. I mean, like you were just saying, you gotta get involved with everything, good and bad.
Oh yeah. And owners who respond on behalf of their businesses, that's a huge trust signal for people, because this person is taking their time to respond, authentically and, respectfully online in this public forum. That's a big opportunity to take what used to be a private exchange and turn it into a public marketing moment.
Well, you see brands doing that on Twitter a lot.
Oh yeah.
People be like, hey, Comcast or whatever, why is this like that? And they'll respond.
And so they're like, well, we're not a big brand like that. Could you be? Is this your opportunity for you to be the local celebrity?
I think it's interesting though, because it's kind of reversing. I think the ball's kind of in your corner.
Well,
whatever that means. What I'm saying is that Comcast is trying to be the smaller guy. Like they're trying to get some kind of personality or some, I don't know if you would call it like a persona. Yes. Or something.
Yeah. And these smaller firms are draining the persona out of themselves to behave like a big box brand.
Yeah.
So we don't muddy our hands with responding to reviews and stuff, where your potential client is looking at you. They're like, oh, they don't respond to reviews. No, thanks. Whereas you say, well, clearly our product stands for itself and we don't need to say anything. And that's just completely wrong. It's completely changed and it's completely in your court. The ball's in your goal zone. We're not sports people. Okay, no, folks?
We're totally screwing that up.
Stay tuned as we continue on a very special episode of Lawsome.
If you look at Yelp, Facebook, or stuff like that, it's a network. It's what people go and look at,
right?
To find out how other people's experiences were. Right.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So how does social media play into this?
So social media has completely changed the way people behave and brands interact online. We have to kind of embrace the reality that we're not in control of our reputations, which is sad because you have people running from pillar to post saying whatever they want about you. Where do I get my chance to chime in? When can I kind of tell people how it is? You don't get that time anymore. That conversation is happening with or without you.
Well, and I think too on social media, if it used to be, if I had something bad to say, I had to say it to your face or I had to write you a letter. Now, whatever.
Oh yeah. Well, and that's one of the kind of cornerstones of reputation management is these people, they don't have to spend their time giving you this feedback. Mm-hmm. We have to fight against the notion that only crazy people respond and review things online. Because if they're all really good responses and reviews and ratings, then those people aren't crazy, are they?
Right.
They're brand ambassadors,
right.
But when they're against you, they are a brand assassin or some kind of assailant coming to take my food off of my table. Like these people are just coming to destroy my life. And that is, that's partially right, but the 100% response from you is how that guides the future. Not that you're beset on all sides by trolls. I think, one of the biggest missteps that I learned was from a competitor in our local market who responded to a Yelp review, a negative Yelp review, with basically 3 pages long of a response that just iterated each little point where the client was wrong. The client is wrong. The client didn't understand. The client was told that this would be it. I mean, it stopped short of full breach of attorney-client privilege just so this attorney could show everybody else that this person was wrong, and that's the reason why we behaved the way we behaved. And it kind of, we were just having a conversation about fighting with our significant others. And in some way that the most important thing is to everybody know in the world that we have been wronged.
Yes.
Not that there's a better way or that there's diplomacy at stake here. It's just, I want everybody to know that I was wronged here. That reputation management becomes a personal attack because lawyers, whoever's starting who stands for their firm online, it can seem like a personal attack because that's how the internet kind of is. And when you're talking about social media, it's taken this hateful, spiteful thing that may have happened in between one-on-one, and it's like 1 on 18,000 people now have just seen this. And so your honor is instantly besmirched somehow. The legacy of your family has been tarnished, just from someone posting a horrible meme, things can just fly off the rails.
Well, because it's easy.
And we intertwine our personal DNA with this sort of scripted, curated online persona of ourselves.
And these different platforms too, especially, I don't want to get too far into how Facebook shows you what it shows you, but the more you interact with certain stuff, the more you're going to see stuff that's tilted, that has that same, I can't think of a really bad sports metaphor, but has that same approach to it. And so it feeds on it. So if you're responding to someone who is the polar opposite of you politically on Facebook, and you're just raging and raging and raging, that stuff is going to keep coming out. And it's also going to show you stuff that's tilted towards people who rage the same way you do, so it kind of reinforces it.
I experienced the antithesis of this is I believe that there was continued, I got into it, politically on Facebook. And I think Facebook decided not to show me the continuing thread of activity on that because
that's enough, Sanders.
Well, no, but in some way, I think Facebook is very cognizant of how they get people to spend more time on their site.
True. And
they want to make sure that if it's too negative, that is going to have like a larger effect on their brand. So I think there's also danger in the algorithms that they will be curated towards supporting your echo chambers, but they may also be significantly reducing your ability to actually see objective reality online. And if that goes for your brands and mentions of your brand, even if you wanted to engage with your brand and safety and reputation management online, you still might not be able to see everything unless you take the opportunity and get a software program that helps you, corral all of those signals in a place where you can see what's happening. Because somebody might say you're bad on Better Business Bureau, but you're not going to see that on Facebook. You're not going to see that on Twitter. That might not affect your Google search review rankings. But unless you have a brand alert set up for Better Business Bureau, your firm name, you'll never know what people are saying.
So, we're talking a lot about the bad. And again, I think it kind of plays into, because, legal lawyers, they're kind of starting off from a tough spot in the first place. So
yeah, right.
I think that, it is.
It's true.
It's true.
It's public perception of lawyers is not, but it's not amazing.
So the other side of it is, though, like, I know I'm a member of some Facebook groups that are just like local community groups, people who live in the neighborhood, or people who all their kids all go to the same school. And that's a very valuable resource for referrals like this, exactly like what we're talking about, in a positive way. Like, I never see, like, someone says, hey, I need a good body and fender guy, or I need a, who's a good plumber. People are always doing stuff like that. Same, 3-4 people come up every time, same businesses. I never see anything on there, and I think this is interesting. I never see anything on there that says don't ever use this place. It's always like, yeah, check this guy out. He did a great job. So how does that, like, how do you use your reputation to get those kind of referrals from social?
Well, and what's so weird is that sounds like a very ancient thing called word of mouth referrals, which is like all we ever had before the internet. But you know what I'm saying? It feels well, it feels antiquated because, taking a look at American Bar Association surveys, 84% of lawyers have a website. And, overwhelmingly, people feel like having a website is a great decision for marketing their online, presence. And, having a website for your law firm is just table stakes. People already understand that stuff. I think people are forgetting the ability for you to turn your website into a Yellow Pages, or for you to turn your website into a word of mouth referral engine, because everyone says the word of mouth referrals are the number one referral type for law firms. It's people, families, friends, and everyone talking, hey, who do you have? Who do you trust? I have a divorce.
Back it up even a little bit more. What's the number one source of business? Is referrals.
Right. And so when law firms are worried about marketing, and they're worried about advertising, and they're worried about, legal tech, and is there a possibility to get blockchain in the parking lot? I think, which still we need to do that. They'd be like, wait, you parked my car inside someone else's car? You'd be like, it's the safest way to do it.
Trust me. You got this wallet thing. It's crazy.
Your car is inside of another person's car. You're like, well, can I move it? Cool. Can I get in there?
Trust me. In 2 years, everyone's going to be doing this.
So, but we're worried about all these other legal tech fixes or other opportunities for us to grow our business, when the exact thing that has been the number one referral source for us and the biggest driver of business still exists today. We just don't put our hat in. Law firms who have a secure, authentic, consistent reputation management program, I don't know. They are busy. They're busy trying to get new work. They're busy trying to, handle all the client demands. They're worried about competition. There's an opportunity for brands to control this and to set it in place, but most people want it to change overnight. And this is something like a search engine optimization program for your website. It's going to take time to set up the appropriate link structures, to make sure that, you have these processes in place. It's going to take man hours or woman hours. So you have to kind of figure that out. But public perception isn't the only reason to do reputation management. Social signals and reviews and ratings count in search engine results. Your prominence of your website depends on you maintaining and managing the reputation online, and responding reviews and feeding the friends and family follower beast. You have to have a process in place, because not only will that help you with public perception, not only will that help you differentiate from competition, not only will that help you get more word of mouth referrals, but it's a chance for you to handle it now before your brand catches on fire. And then you have to handle a crisis, and you have no way to do it. It seems like one of the most important things from a digital marketing aspect that a law firm could do today.
So there's more to it, though. I mean, like, exactly what I was just talking about with these communities and this, now I guess we call it digital word of mouth.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to say the obvious, but you have to be good at what you do and treat people right, no matter what.
Right.
Otherwise, there's no amount of control that you can do that will change what may be an accurate perception. Like we were just talking about arguing with our significant others. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe our ego was bruised. But
Right.
bottom line, did you behave like a gentleman? Were you a jerk? Because if you were a jerk, it doesn't really matter. Like you said, your lawyer, the competitor who put 3 pages on there of why it was someone else's fault.
Mm-hmm.
You're punching below your weight class there.
Yeah, completely. And but I was just agog, and I had to share it with all the other lawyers because I said, guys, I know you're sitting on your hands waiting to say what this guy said, and you're right to sit on your hands because it's not that it's right. There are going to be trolls. There are going to be people that are just taking pot shots.
Your competitors.
Your competitors, that's a good example. At my firm, we had a real negative review come in. And we were like, wow, what is this? So we looked up the person's name. We couldn't find any details that jived with the case that they were describing. We looked at all the recent disbursement. This isn't a recent client. And so I started looking for this user on Google Maps. And this person had posted the same negative review verbatim on 5 of the major law firms in our area. And it was the same post. It seems bizarre because, okay, if it can be gamed, then why even play the game? If someone can come in here and just pay a bunch of people to either post negatively or post ridiculously positively about my business, and I can change and I can manipulate the ratings and the reviews, why would I even play a game that is so beneath my station? It doesn't even make sense. And I think getting lawyers to realize that this trust is not vertical anymore. No one trusts you. No one believes what you're saying. They only believe what other people are saying. Is that believable? Unfortunately, maybe, maybe not. But it is your due diligence to make sure that you inject yourself in these conversations as the owner of a business and say, this is what we stand for. Thank you for giving me your feedback. I want to take this offline and continue this conversation. That's the Jay Bear, the hug your haters, because a lot of people, that negative feedback comes from a positive place. You just don't see it because you are having your ego bruised, or you're saying, well, this person's obviously a bipolar, insane, manic depressive who is just looking for, we pull the DSM-V out, and we're throwing the diagnoses everywhere. This is a fundamental attribution to this person. They are a flawed person. Really what it is, context. What happened? Was there a chance that maybe somewhere in your law firm experience it went south, maybe? Or are we all above board? And if we are, then that's great. Then let's just tell them, hey, I appreciate your time. I appreciate you letting us know. And I want to take this offline because I want to talk to you. I want to get you on the phone and take it back to that place, that original place. Because back in the day, it was face to face. And I could have told you, you yellow livered belly snake,
coward,
and then he slapped me in the face with a leather glove, and then we shoot each other in a field. I don't want to go that far back, but I do want people to understand that this online reputation is something that you can handle, and it's something that you need to control. And then all those negative people, they might have something amazing. Get them on the phone and pick their brain and find out how you can hug your haters. Because that's where the answers for improvement are in your trash can.
Well, and we're talking about being ready for this. Like, I think part of what we're talking about here too is, I know we keep going back to the 3-page response lawyer, but I'm going
Sorry.
again. It's so good. It's so good. You had an opportunity to, even if someone says something negative, how you respond still reflects on you. So, like,
good point.
He just made it worse. Like if it had just been like a simple, like, hey, you know what? That's too bad. But now, even though somebody made this negative statement about you, which may or may not have been true, and you were so wronged by it that you went on for 3 pages of, why it was the client's fault, even if it was the client's fault, even if those 3 pages were an extremely valid argument, I don't know that I would use you because, I'd be thinking anytime I had a dispute with this guy, I'm going to get a 3-page email. So, and he could have prevented it. I mean, the whole thing is that he could have prevented it. And I think you said this best early on in the conversation was you have to be ready. You have to think of when good stuff happens, we do this. When bad stuff happens, we do this,
And we have it in place.
Yep.
And so that's why I think the best way to handle your reputation management is you have to have a good idea of what your brand is. What's the brand of your law firm? And it's not what you say it is. Trusted for 75 years, cornerstone philosophy of justice and trust, and they're like, yeah. But the fact is you never called me back, so that's who you are. 75 years of never answering the phone, so
that's why I left this thing on Yelp, because you didn't respond
75 years later,
I
respond to a 75-year-long response. So the fact is that really it'd be like furthermore in the early 80s, I think the best way to handle reputation management is you got to have a good idea of what your brand is. And that's what people say about you and how your law firm is experienced. That's your brand. So how do you improve on it? How could you manage it? So ask questions.
Okay. And so I wanted to ask a question. What?
Oh, fine.
You mellow out or we'll be out in that field.
I'm sorry, man. I'm 3 pages deep into a Yelp about this podcast.
We're going to be responding.
These fools, they better wrap it up.
Dear Jake, I'm writing in response to your email.
All caps.
Yeah, you know it. Mm-hmm. So how can our listeners right now start taking control of this stuff and start figuring out what their brand is and how to handle these different, positive and negative kind of signals online?
It's a great opportunity for you to market your practice, and you don't have to come up with an ad where you're standing in on top of a 16-wheel truck. You don't have to, you don't have to do anything. All you have to do is stand up and advocate for yourself. So Consultwebs actually, thankfully, has something called the Client Review Resource Bundle. And it's a really, really easy to use PDF where it gives you a firm experience survey so you can discover how people are experiencing your firm. Where is there potential in your process to possibly prevent negative comments from even arising, or generating a wellspring of goodwill that will just pop out positive reviews and ratings just because you found a place inside of your process. But unless you have a firm experience survey, understanding how that works and all those processes, you're kind of flying blind.
Yeah.
You can make certain improvements, but the core needs to be understood, on a fundamental level. So that Client Review Resource Bundle has the firm experience survey. It has a how-to guide on how to respond to negative reviews, because it's not about logic and it's not about rational thought. It's about emotional language, and it's about you giving people their right, validating feelings, not validating facts, and kind of giving people their corner of the internet and respecting it and turning it into a marketing opportunity. And in the way that you communicate with your clients, this bundle also has a client communication guide where you can figure out how you talk to clients, what ways they need to be approached, because that is probably one of the number one sources for reviews and ratings is communication. Did it happen the way that I needed it? Were they responsive? And it doesn't mean you have to be on your phone with your clients 24 hours a day. You have to set things in place, have away messages, let them know, oh, I can't talk now. I really am looking forward to it. Let's put a date on the schedule. Rather than, throwing your candles into the fire, you really got to figure this out. So a way to figure out what your survey, your experience, how to respond to negative reviews, and how to communicate with your clients, all of that builds into an easy to use resource that our audience can have for free. That'll be the first step in a long process and kind of like making sure your reputation online is managed and maintained, as fearlessly as you advocate for yourself in physical reality. You need to do that online too.
Well, and I think it's really telling when you're talking about the how to communicate with clients and stuff like that. There's expectations. It's a good guide, but if you just look around, look around at some of your competitors' reviews, and look at how many times in those reviews the negative ones that people say they never called me back. I had to call them. I never got an update on my case. Like that's something. I mean, what we're trying to say here is that you can head off these negative reviews before they even happen. And it's as simple as just setting some expectations, treating people. If someone feels slighted or disregarded, look at how many of these reviews say I had a bad experience because, like we were saying before about, arguing. Oh, I was done wrong. You did me wrong. You never called me back. I had to call you. It's as simple as saying, look, okay, we're going through this portion of your case. It's going to be, 2 weeks until we get it into court. So I will give you a call on, the day after, which would be X day, and we'll put it on our calendar, and that's it. Done.
And just to be the devil's advocate, when I kept on saying, well, let's do this reputation management at my old law firm, I was like, let's really control it. And they said, well, there's no way you're going to make everyone happy. You're never going to make everyone happy.
True.
So why try in some kind of way? Like, why would you try to put a process in place that attempted to control every externality that might possibly happen? They might have a problem here. They might have a problem here. They might have a problem here. They might feel a little lactose intolerant here, so we're not going to put milk in the conference room. They might feel a little bit here. And
you didn't do that, did you?
No. But I could see it going too far.
I see what you're saying.
Like, I just am padding all of my stuff because I don't ever know what's going to happen. And I think that these crazy people are going to be crazy. Negative feedback is coming.
Well, let's be honest. A lot of times people who are seeking legal services are in a bad spot. That's why they need legal services, and they're mad no matter what.
Something horrible has happened in this person's life, and they are strapped for resources. They need to trust a stranger. So whatever your idea of your law or how you law or what your law is, it has to jive with the context of someone who's in a bad way and is looking online for someone they can trust. So if you are not everywhere, making sure you respond to every mention of your brand, and they're helping people see more examples of positive experiences that have come from your brand, you don't have any room to complain about what's happening online or how you're being beset on all sides by assailants of your brand. You have to take control of the way you respond to the world. And that goes online, and that goes for your law firm. And you are passionate advocates for these clients when it's offline. But when it comes online, it's like the wambulance is coming to pick you up, They don't like us. They just think we're mean, and they're snakes in suits and stuff.
Only crazy people are online.
Well, and unfortunately, there's a little bit of truth to that. But those crazy people might be giving you an opportunity to save yourself, to make yourself completely amazing, outpace your competitors just by responding and maintaining and keeping your reputation at the forefront of your existence, because that's your brand.
I mean, if you can deal with a tough judge, you should be able to easily handle an internet troll. It's not the most difficult thing in the world once you work through it. And I think it's important. I'm stealing this one from you, Jake, but you say it all the time, and it's very true that how your law firm is experienced is your brand. So when we're talking about all these different things, it's kind of an interesting sort of, I think you referred to it earlier as a flywheel. You set up how to communicate with your clients. You have a process in place for getting positive reviews. These people are then building your brand with these positive experiences, and it all just kind of keeps looping back on itself.
And the flywheel metaphor is great because it takes a lot of energy initially to get that thing off the ground.
Yeah.
but then it takes less and less and less to keep it going faster and faster and faster. There's a great there's a metaphorical opportunity and a real one with this episode. And so people who are looking to control their reputations online and get more marketing opportunities from this obvious situation that is only going to continue to get worse. More people online, more people reviewing and rating. The client review resource bundle is key, and it's a gift, and we wanted to give it to you.
Dig it.
Dig it. And God bless America.
10 questions we ask everyone.
And now, in a strange twist of fate, since we don't have a guest, Jake is filling in the hot seat today. 10 questions we ask everyone.
Let's go.
How you feeling? Ready?
I'm nervous. I'm a little gassy. Let's do it.
That was not one of the questions I was
Sorry.
Stick with the rules. Okay. Number 1. What was the last book you read?
The last book I completely read was Jonathan Safran IV, Here I Am.
Nice. Number 2. What is your best habit?
Waking up at 4:45 every morning and getting all my heavy work done before anyone else wakes up.
Wow. I get up at like 4 o'clock in the morning too, and then I just roll back over and go to sleep.
There's always that option.
Still dark, my God. Yeah, okay. Number 3. Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, or none of the above?
So Twitter, just because of the way it works, it seems like it's more idea-oriented. Twitter feeds seem like they're more about ideas, and Facebook seems like it's more about people. So if I'm looking, for inspiration or something to share, I'm on Twitter.
I thought for sure it was going to be Snapchat, man. All those snaps you and me send each other.
Oh no, I can't. Don't tell them. Don't tell the audience.
Number 4. Coffee or tea?
Oh, bucket loads of coffee.
Number 5. What is your favorite place?
Probably waking my daughter up and just kind of being in her room as she kind of wakes up and realizes what's going on. And the kind of in-between world where you don't know if she's going to be like, get out of my room, or hello, daddy. So you kind of I like that in-between world. Like when everybody's kind of waking up and, kind of easing into the day.
Number 6. Is Keanu Reeves a good actor?
Oh, man. I think we have to define what acting is. Because I think Keanu Reeves is himself. And I think like Matthew McConaughey and he's like one of these dudes that just shows up and is consistently him. And we call him different names in this movie and he has different powers or whatever, but he's always Keanu. And for that, I think he's maybe the greatest actor of all time. Like
Al Pacino.
Better than Al Pacino. He's like 10 Al Pacinos.
You heard it here, folks. Keanu Reeves is better than Al Pacino. And I 100% agree. Number 7. What was your first job?
First job was a pizza. I worked at Anthony's Pizza here in Denver, Colorado, folding pizza boxes. And it was the first time I ever got a cardboard paper cut.
Oh.
So if you ever got one of those, it's basically like being sliced open by a knife.
Oh, rude.
Yeah, so that was my first job, folding pizza boxes.
Sweet. Number 8. What is a skill you have outside of your current occupation that you incorporate into your work?
Creativity, music, kind of abstract thought, and my ability to kind of come up with semi-offensive jokes at the drop of a hat.
Oh my God. If people heard what didn't make it onto the air.
Bro, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, what you guys are getting is right at the cusp. And then there's a whole Mordor of nonsense on the other side of that fence. Oh. I don't even want to talk about it. Yeah, I actually have a prison for jokes that are too aggressive or too untoward. I have a whole prison full of jokes waiting to be released.
Unleashed.
It's like Arkham Asylum for
They
jokes.
broke out.
Like, bro, you're crazy. Yeah, I'm just waiting for some hyper villain to unleash all my jokes. I'm like, oh no, I didn't mean that about everybody. Oh God.
Alrighty. Number 9.
Yeah.
What sites, blogs, newsletters, or podcasts do you regularly check in with?
I love Copy Bloggers podcast. I like The Marketing Companion with Mark Schaefer, Tom Webster. Newsletters. Daniel Fish put me onto the Skim. That's pretty cool. But more and more, it's just another email that I never look at. So yeah, and kind of checking on Twitter and seeing what the vibe of the community is. Yeah, so it's a mixture of those things. But definitely the Lawson podcast is by far my favorite.
Yeah, me too.
Totally.
Number 10. Well, thanks, Jake. Number 10.
Thank you.
After a long day or a long week at work, how do you relax and unwind?
Going on walks. Me and my family, we like to walk and talk. And we've been doing barefoot walks around our neighborhood and stuff. And we haven't stepped on anything that's given us Hep C or Hep B, which is exciting. None of the Heps are good. But yeah, so we've just been kind of walking around and kind of enjoying the outdoors with my family and talking about ideas and, just mobbing around the hood.
For show notes, links, and info, go to www.consultwebs.com/LawsonPodcast. Be sure to leave us a review and rating in iTunes or wherever you find the you listen to. Until next week, stay lawsome.